especially Zayd and his brothers in the 1st and 2nd century. Possessed family nobility, dignity, and the best of morals, because they were brought up under Imam Zayn al-Abidin, whose morals, greatness and knowledge need no mention. The best example among them was Zayd, who possessed high qualities and greatness, and who sacrificed his precious life in the path of Allah. Walid bin Yazid bin Abd al-Malik Hisham died after ruling for 19 years and a few months and was succeeded by Walid ibn Yazid. His mother's name was al-Hajjaj. She was the daughter of Muhammad ibn Yusuf Thaqafi and the niece of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. Historians are unanimous that Walid lived a life of pleasure-seeking, wine, and women. He was the first monarch to order professional singers. He performed extremely indecent acts. 29 One of his verses is translated as follows. The goblet of wine is a fresh spring. I can't live if I don't taste it. Regarding the Syrian singer, Abu Kamil, Walid said, Tell Abu Kamil on my behalf that until he comes to me I shall remain irresolute like a woman whose son is dead. Masudi writes, when Ibn Aisha sang a song for Walid, he was enraptured with joy and remarked, "Oh, commander of my army, you sang very well. I beseech you in the name of Abd Shams, sing it again." Ibn Aisha repeated the song. Walid said, I entreat you in the name of Umayyah, sing it again. Ibn Aisha sang again. Thereupon, Walid stood up from his place and fell on the singer and kissed his entire body. He wanted to kiss his sexual organ also, but Ibn Aisha clamped his thighs. Walid said, By Allah, I shall not let you go until have kissed it. Finally, he kissed his member also, then gave him 1,000 dinars, mounted him on a mule, and said, Ride on the royal carpets. Walid constructed a wine pool in his garden, and when he was intoxicated, he used to jump into it and bathe with the prostitutes. He drank so much that its consequences became apparent when one day he transgressed upon his daughter and said, Whoever is worried about what the people would say, dies of worry. 30. Making the Holy Quran archery target board. Masudi writes that one day Walid opened the Holy Quran and came across this verse. And they asked for judgment, and every insolent opposer was disappointed. 14. 15. Hell is before him, and he shall be given to drink of festering water. 14. 16. Walid shot arrows at the Holy Quran and said, Do you threaten the arrogant and rebellious with torture? I am arrogant and rebellious. When you go before your Lord on the judgment day, tell him, Oh, Lord, Walid tore me to pieces. These were the Umayyad rulers who drank, committed adultery, indulged in sportive hunting, played with monkeys, kissed the private parts of singers, abused the Holy Prophet, Imam Ali, Lady Fatima, Hassan, and Hussein, killed the pious people, pulled down the houses on the heads of their residents, cut off the limbs of people, and exhumed dead bodies and hanged them. Adultery, wine, life of pleasure, music and other indecent affairs did not distract Walid from committing injustice, and he did not change his crooked stand against the descendants of Imam Ali. He ordered that the body of Zayd along with the gallows should be burnt and the ashes be scattered in the air. In the days of Walid, Yahya ibn Zayd revolted in Jazjan, a dependency of Khorasan, against the oppression and persecution to which the people were subjected. The governor of Khorasan, Muslim ibn Awaz, was directed to kill Yahya. An arrow struck Yahya's temple resulting in his death. He was beheaded and his severed head was sent to Walid and his body was hanged in Jazjan. It is mentioned in Maruhuz Zahab that his body was still on the scaffold when Abu Muslim Khorasani revolted. Abu Muslim killed Muslim ibn Awaz, brought down the body of Yahya, offered funeral prayers for him, and buried him there. The people of Khorasan mourned Yahya's death in all the cities for 7 days, and gave the name of Yahya or Zayd to every child born during that year. In present day, his grave is a well-known place of ziyarat visitation. These are historical facts about Bani Umayyah and their policies, ways, and manners as recorded by historians. Services of Kumayt Asadi. As a result of the atrocities of Bani Umayyah against mankind and Islam, many rebellions took place, some of which left very important marks, like the following uprisings. 1. The uprising of Imam Hussein, enjoining good and forbidding evil. 2. The uprising of the penitents Tawaban who rose under the leadership of Sulayman ibn Surd Khuzai to avenge the martyrdom of Imam Husayn, a. 3. The uprising of Mukhtar to avenge the martyrdom of Imam Husayn, a. 4. The uprising of Zayd ibn Ali ibn Husayn. 5. The uprising of Yahya ibn Zayd. 6. The uprising of Abdullah ibn Muawiyah ibn Abdullah. This was the uprising against Bani Umayyah. The descendants of Ali and Fatima laid down their lives to advance justice, freedom, and equality of people. They courted martyrdom one after another so that they might achieve this great object by sacrificing their sacred lives. This bloodshed and uprisings produced a poet who till date has no parallel in the world. He was matchless for his honesty, sincerity, and courage. He defended truth and exposed falsehood. He did not expect wealth, fame, or position in return. The only object of this revolutionary poet was to support the family of the Prophet. He encouraged the people to voice protests at a time when the truth had been strangled to death and people even dreaded to breathe loudly, lest they might be imprisoned without committing an offense. He wanted to destroy the citadels of oppression, erase the traces of oppressors, and release the people from chains and shackles of captivity. This poet was Kumayt ibn Zayd Asadi. Masudi writes, when he completed his composition, he proceeded to Basra and met the renowned poet, Farazdak. He said to him, O Abi Faraz, I am your nephew. Farazdak asked him to introduce Bis' father to him. He did so. Farazdak said, you are right. Now let me know what you want. Kumayt said, I have composed some verses. You possess vast knowledge about the Mudir clan, and you are their poet. I wish that you go through what I have composed and advise me whether I should publish or hide them. Farazdak heard Kumayt's composition, which was replete with love for the Holy Prophet and his noble family, and said, you have composed well and done a very fine job, because you have ignored those of low lineage and paid homage to the family of infallibility, which is a commendable act. You are on the right course and what you have said cannot be refuted. Farazdak said to him twice, make your verses public and disgrace the enemies of Islam. By Allah, you are the greatest of the past and the present poets. Kumayt then returned to Medina and read his verses before Imam Muhammad Baqir, a. When he recited a part of his Qasida Maymaya, the following verse made the holy Imam weep. When the sword was cutting the throat of the pride of Hashemites, Imam Husayn, the unjust people were happily raising slogans of victory. Imam Muhammad al-Baqir said, if I had wealth, I would have rewarded you. However, I pray for you, just as the Prophet prayed for the poet Hassan ibn Thabit. May Allah help you as long as you support and defend us. Kumayt also went to see Abdullah ibn Hassan and recited his verses before him. Abdullah said, O Abu Mustahil, I had purchased a property for 4,000 dinars and this is the sale deed. I call some persons to witness to the transfer of this property to you. Kumayt said, may my parents be your ransom. I compose verses for others for the sake of money and about you for the sake of Allah, and I don't accept money for that which I compose for the sake of Allah. When Abdullah insisted much, Kumayt accepted the sale deed and went away. But he returned after a few days and said, O son of Allah's messenger, may my parents be your ransom. I have a need. Abdullah replied, whatever you ask will be given. Kumayt presented the sale deed of the aforesaid property and said, please accept this. Abdullah picked up the document and accepted it. Abdullah ibn Muawiyah ibn Abdullah ibn Ja'far told the people of Bani Hashim, Kumayt has composed verses in your praise, and during these days when people have ceased praising you, he has endangered his life to expose the tyrannies of Bani Umayyah. You should appreciate his work, encourage him, and help him as much as you can. Abdullah collected money for Kumayt. Even the women donated their ornaments for him. The value of what was collected came to about 100,000 dirhams. When it was presented to Kumayt, he said, I have composed these verses to please Allah and His Prophet, and I am not going to accept money for that. Although Abdullah insisted much, Kumayt did not agree. It was, therefore, returned to all those who had contributed. Kumayt has condemned the evil deeds of Bani Umayyah in his verses. He made it known to the people that Bani Umayyah had been cursed by the Holy Prophet, and that they descended from those set free by the Prophet. In his verses, he stated that Imam Ali, is the medium of salvation in the religion and the worldly life. The well-being in this world is dependent upon obedience to him, and that the success on the day of judgment is meant for those who are his friends in this world and who are attached to his wilayat guardianship. Kumayt performed this feat when Imam Ali was cursed from the pulpits and when it was more dangerous to be labeled a Shia than to be called a kafir. He composed these verses at a time when singing Ali's praise was an unpardonable crime and its punishment was meted out in the form of amputation of limbs, hanging and being buried alive. Kumayt criticized Bani Umayyah and accused them of persecution. He narrated their cruelties which were hated even by the dacoits and the pirates and mentioned their wicked ways and crimes in all gatherings and assemblies. He told Bani Umayyah, "O tyrants, you have become fat sucking our blood. You are leading lives of luxury, whereas we are subjected to indigence and affliction." Indeed, Kumayt attacked class distinctions and instead divided the people into two groups. The first group consists of those who are gluttonous, who live in pleasure, commit crimes, and shed blood. And the other group comprises those who are thrown onto the streets like trash to die a gradual death. It is that very object which is manifested in the poetry of the Shia poets, and their forerunner is Kumayt. Ibn Zayd Asadi. George Jordak says in Al-Qawmiyat al-Arabiya 31, the poetical revolution of the Shia against the despotic rulers, who did not distinguish between man and beast, was initiated by Kumayt. Kumayt says, the Imams are politicians, but their politics is not that they should range the servants of the nation with the shepherds. Their policies are not like the policies of Abd al-Malik, Walid, Sulayman, and Hisham. Regarding Hisham and Bani Marwan, Kumayt said, sitting on the pulpit they talk of goodness and truth, but when they descend from it, they commit thousands of crimes. They say, our words are as effective as the words of prophets and guides, but our character and manners are those of the age of ignorance. Bani Umayyah imprisoned Kumayt and tortured him, but this devotee of all al-Bayt was undeterred. A verse of Kumayt says, I don't worry nor fear Bani Umayyah, because notwithstanding their power, they are base. If I die, I shall not die in the state of doubt, suspicion, hypocrisy and ignorance. When Bani Umayyah 32 threatened to kill Kumayt, the valiant man replied, O Yazid, shout, show off, roar like thunder, and threaten me. These threats of yours will not affect me. Another specimen of the audacity of Shia poets towards the corrupt organization of Bani Umayyah was Farazdak, who said about Hisham ibn Abd al-Malik, his head is not worthy of leadership and the defect of his squinted eyes is quite apparent. The poetry of Kumayt shows that he desired that the descendants of one Imam Ali gain rulership, because this family would establish justice, bring blessings for the citizens, and attract the people to themselves. Indeed, they shall become the cause of deliverance from the hardships of the day of judgment and the wrath of Allah. To achieve his goal, Kumayt did not refrain from any sacrifice. 33. Kumayt supported his claim with Quranic verses, traditions of the Prophet and logical reasoning, which he quoted in his verses. Jahiz says that Kumayt opened the door of reasoning for the benefit of Shias. Kumayt says, if caliphate is suitable for those few persons, the nearest relatives of the Holy Prophet are more worthy of it. If the caliphate had been hereditary, your claim would have been correct. I say, if the caliphate is hereditary, Bukhail and Arjab tribes must also have a share in it. Kumayt says about the descendants of Imam Ali, Ali's descendants are nearest to good deeds and far from bad ones. Bani Hashim are most kind to pay the rights of the people, and they are the best of all in the matter of wisdom. They open the hand of generosity and do not oppress or harm anyone. When the means of dispensing with Islam are brought, they display firm resolve in its preservation. They are the best creatures whether alive or dead. Their love rules my heart and only they deserve it. I do not follow anyone besides the infallible family. Who can I follow besides them? I don't follow but the true religion. Allama Iqbal says, O pivot of the praise of the tongues, O Yusuf of the caravan of lives, O gate of the city of love, O Na of the ark of love, O moon of the eraser of my false impressions, O victor of the Khyber of my heart. When we ponder on the compositions of Kumayt, we observe sincerity at every stage. As his difficulties increased, his faith became more robust and firmer. Kumait's collection of 536 verses in praise of Ali, A. and the descendants of Imam titled Al-Hashmiyat, was first printed in Europe and then in Egypt. Arabic scholars, literary men, and Orientalists have also written commentaries on it. While Kumait was present in the court of the Umayyad governor, Yusuf ibn Umar Thaqafi, 8 guards attacked him with swords, and left him only when they thought that he was dead. During the last moments of his life, he opened his eyes and said, O Allah, Ail Muhammad, O Allah, Ail Muhammad, O Allah, Ail Muhammad. Reciting benedictions on Muhammad and Ail Muhammad, Kumait departed from the world, but the faith for which he sacrificed his life is the faith of millions of people residing in the East and the West. This faith will continue to exist along with Islam and the Holy Quran forever. The message of Kumait, his political ideology and faith make one object manifest, and that is sincere love for the descendants of Ali, and reliance on them in matters connected with this world and the hereafter. It was so because they were the best specimens of truth, justice, and equality. It was the reason Kumait performed jihad for the sake of his object and achieved the lofty station of martyrdom. 1. This term refers to the Tawaban movement of a group based in Kufa, who fought the Umayyads to atone for their failure to defend Imam Husayn, a note of al-Islam. 2. After the martyrdom of Imam Husayn, a Mukhtar rose to avenge his blood. The al-Sunnah scholars were busy in his character assassination till this time. Ibn Taymiyyah has even labeled Mukhtar an apostate. Fatawi ibn Taymiyyah, Bab. Al-Bagha, Trail No. 27. 3. Volume 3, pg. 15. 4. Tabi'in is the term in reference to the generation of Muslims who did not see the Prophet but they saw the companions of the Prophet. Note of alislam.org. 5. Meaning a wicked, broken down person. 6. Atrocities and oppression had reached such a level that once during the period of Walid ibn Abd al-Malik, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz screamed, Hajj in Iraq, Walid in Syria, Qurra ibn Sharik in Egypt, Uthman ibn Hayyan in Medina, Khalid ibn Abdullah Khazri in Mecca. O Allah, your world is full of oppression. Now please give some relief to the people. In addition to political persecution, these people also deviated in religious matters to a great extent. They unduly delayed prayers. They delivered the first Friday sermon in sitting position. On Eids, the system of reading the sermon before the prayers was started by Marwan, and for his descendants, this became a practice. Khilafat o-Mulukiyat, pg. 187, published by Idara. Tarjuman al-Quran, Lahore. 7. Maruhuz Zahab, Volume 3, pg. 152. 8. Tariq Kamil, Ibn Athir. Volume 4, pg. 26. 9. Tariq Kamil, Ibn Athir. Volume 4, pg. 84. 10. Sharnaj al-Balagha, Ibn Abul Hadid, Volume I, pg. 114. 11. Hayat al-Haywan, Volume I, pg. 411, published by Dar al-Ishat Karachi. 12. Abu Hanifa says that when Abd al-Malik ibn Marwan was dying, he called his son, Walid, and advised him, O Walid, I don't like my dead body to be laid in the grave and that you may roam about like distressed people. You should instead wear a shirt and get ready. You should stand wearing a cheetah skin. If anyone refuses to give you allegiance, you must punish him ruthlessly and eliminate him. Hayat al-Haywan, Urdu, pg. 205, quoted from Akbar at Tiwal. 13. Al-Aghani, by Abul Faraj al-Isfahani, Volume 19, pg. 59. 14. Tariq ad-Dawlat al-Arabiya, pg. 3L9. 15. Baby Goats. 16. Sweet Preparations. 17. Al-Lqd al-Farid, Volume 4, pg. 191, published 1953. 18. Sharnaj al-Balagha, Ibn Abul Hadid, Volume 1, pg. 366 and Volume 3, pg. 476. 19. Tariq Kamil, Ibn Athir, Events of 99 and Sharnaj al-Balagha, Ibn Abul Hadid, Volume 1, pg. 356. 20. Sayfanat ul-Bahar, Volume 2, pg.272. 21. Shar Naj al-Balagha, Volume 4, pg. 520. Old edition. 22. Please note that it is the opinion of Ibn Abul Hadid. Otherwise, Imam Ali's Shaykhushikya sermon of Naj al-Balagha makes the facts evident. 23. Al-Lqd al-Farid, Volume 5, pg. 176. 24. Yazid ibn Abd al-Malik was living a life of pleasure. One day Hubaba was eating pomegranate seeds when she suddenly laughed out. The seed stuck inside her throat, and she was choked to death. As a result of Hubaba's death, Yazid's life became miserable. He lost his senses and was absolutely devastated. He was so much shocked that he did not allow the burial of Hubaba for some days. He used to kiss and fondle the corpse till it began to give out a foul odor. Then, he ordered its burial. Again, he ordered them to exhume the corpse. After that, Yazid did not live for more than 15 days. Allama Damiri, Hayat al-Haywan, Urdu translation, pg. 217, published Dar al-El-Shat, Karachi. 25. Tariq Kamil, Ibn Athir, Events of the Year 105 AH. 26. Al-Jqd al-Farid, Volume 4, pg. 202. 27. That means to prevent them from leaving the city. 28. Makatalat Talibayan, pg. 135. 29. Let us see the following extract of an article entitled Muhammad Shah, Rangila by the famous columnist, Javed Chaudhary, in the 7th of December 2007 issue of Express Karachi. Though in this column, the writer has written about many colorful personalities profligates of the ancient and the modern world, he has not mentioned anything about the profligacy of Bani Umayyah and Bani Abbas rulers. Probably the writer considers them to be the shadows of God on the earth. Anyway, Chaudhary writes, the real name of the prince was Roshan Akhtar. He was the son of Shah Jahan Hujjat Akhtar and the grandson of Shah Alam Bahadur Shah I. When the Saeed brothers released him from jail, he occupied the throne on the 17th of September 1719. He selected for himself the title of Nasiruddin Muhammad Shah, but he became known in history as Muhammad Shah Rangila. Muhammad Shah Rangila was an unnaturally imbalanced profligate. Day and night he used to remain drunk, and all the time busy with music and dance. He had a strange obsession of making laws and breaking them. He was such a ridiculous man that one moment he awarded anyone the highest post in the country, and whenever he liked he sent the prime minister to jail. He often arrived at the court nude, and the courtiers in compliance with his idiosyncrasy, took off their clothes. Many a time, he used to be so intoxicated with power that he urinated openly in the court and all the high-ranking officials, scholars, and nobles of Delhi applauded his antics. He simply issued orders that the next day all the courtiers should come dressed in latest garments and such minister shall put on tinkling ankles. None could dare oppose him. He used to arrive in the court and order that all the prisoners be released from the prison, and then ordered that an equal number of new prisoners be arrested. On the orders of the king, sepoys used to go out and arrest whoever they found on the street and cast them into the jail. Muhammad Shah Rangila was very fond of awarding posts and honors. Every day he appointed 5 new ministers and awarded honors to hundreds of people. And the next day he withdrew these ministries and honors. He came to the court, accompanied by prostitutes, and rested on their legs, arms, and bellies, and controlled the government. He forced the Qadi of the city to perform ablution wuzu with wine. He had proclaimed that every beautiful woman of Hindustan was his trust, and whoever cheated him in this matter would be put to death. During his rule, he gave the status of a minister to his favorite horse. Wearing the royal insignia, the horse used to occupy a place in the court along with the other courtiers. Due to excessive drinking, Muhammad Shah Rangila died on the 26th of April 1748. Even today when one sees his name in history, one laughs out involuntarily. Muhammad Shah Rangila was not a unique sample of this type. The history of the world is full of such creatures. 30. Maruhuz Zahab. 31. Volume 5, pg. 190. 32. Regarding Bani Umayyah, Imam Ali says, Beware that the worst mischief for you in my view is the mischief of Bani Umayyah because it is blind, and it also creates darkness. Its sway is general, but its ill effects are for particular people. He who remains clear-sighted in it would be affected by distress, and he who remains blind in it would avoid the distress. By Allah, you will find Bani Umayyah after me the worst people for yourselves, like the old unruly she-camel who bites with its mouth, beats with its forelegs, kicks with its hind legs, and refuses to be milked. They would remain over you till they would leave among you only those who benefit them, or those who do not harm them. Their calamity would continue till your seeking help from them would become like the seeking of help by the slave from his master or by a follower from his leader. Their mischief would come to you like evil-eyed fear and pre-Islamic fragments, wherein there would be no minaret of guidance nor any sign of salvation to be seen. This world cannot appear sweet to you in its pleasures, and you cannot secure milk from its udders except after having met it when its nose rein was trailing, and its leather girth was loose. For certain people, its unlawful items were like bent branches laden with fruit while its lawful items were far away and are not available. By Allah, you would find it like a long shade up to a fixed rhyme. So, the earth is with you without let or hindrance, and your hands in it are extended while the hands of the leaders are held away from you. Your swords are banging over them while their swords are held away from you. I swear by Allah, O Bani Umayyah, shortly you will see it, i.e. your possession, in the hands of others and in the house of your enemy Bani Abbas. Flags of this mischief are actually standards of misguidance, fixed in its center and spread all around through its offshoots. It weighs you with its weights and confuses you with its measures. Its leader is an outcast from the community. He persists on misguidance. At that time there will remain no house or tent, but oppressors would inflict it with grief and inject sickness in it. On that day, no one in the heaven will listen to their excuse and no one on the earth will come to their help. You selected for governance caliphate one who is not fit for it, and you raised him to a position which was not meant for him. Shortly Allah will take revenge from everyone who has oppressed, food for food and drink for drink, namely they will be given colocynth for food, myrrh and aloes for drinks, and fear for an inner and the sword for an outer covering. They are nothing but carrier beasts laden with sins and camels laden with evil deeds. Naj al-Balagha. I swear and again swear that the Umayyads will have to spit out the caliphate as phlegm is spat, and thereafter, they will never taste it nor relish its flavor, so long as day and night rotate. Naj al-Balagha. 33. The slogans of human rights, freedom, independence, and equality that are being raised today have the blood of the bold and revolutionary poets like Farazdak, Kumayt and Dibble etc. Shares. Bani Abbas. From time to time, there were revolts against Bani Umayyah. In the beginning of the Umayyad regime, these revolts were quickly suppressed as they were not widespread. But the revolt which Bani Umayyah were unable to quell was the one that took place during the days of Marwan Himar, the last Umayyad monarch. On this occasion, people from various backgrounds rose against him. The army and the police force also disobeyed his orders, and even his friends deserted him. Eventually, Marwan's position became completely weak, and bribes and promises of government offices to various persons also failed to serve any purpose. A large segment of the army rebelled against Marwan, and he was compelled to flee from one town to another. As and when he entered a town, the people behaved in the worst manner towards him. When he reached Mosul, the inhabitants raised slogans against him and closed the doors of the city. Then he went to Consaran, and the people attacked his forces. When he went to Hamat there was a great furore against him. Thus, he returned to Syria but was turned away from there as well. Then he proceeded to Palestine, but the Palestinians also became aloof from him. In short, this monarch could not find refuge in any city. In all these cities, the army of Bani Abbas pursued Marwan Himar and he fled from one place to another, until he was eventually killed at the end of 132 AH in the city of Bizr in Egypt. With his death, the caliphate of Bani Umayyah ended. So, the roots of the people who were unjust were cut off. And all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the world. 6. 45. 1,000-month rule. Masudi says, the total duration of Umayyad rule, till the time when allegiance was taken for Abu al-Abbas Safa, was 1,000 months, because they ruled for 90 years, 11 months, and 13 days. It is narrated in Tafsir ar-Razi that Qasim ibn Fazl quotes Imam Hassan, as saying that the Holy Prophet saw in a dream that the Umayyads